Just walk in. Hello. Oh, should I stand?
No, you're fine. You can sit. The camera will reset itself.
Okay, should I shut the door?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, we'll be with you in 1 second.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Joyce. Today is Friday, January 19, 2024. This is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Parole. Following board members are present this morning by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Zappini.
Good morning, Federal Representative.
Nancy Turner.
Would you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Willow Martin, 415870.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Willow Martin, inmate number 415870. She is serving a sentence of 8 years and 6 months with 8 years of special parole and 1 day conditional discharge for arson 2 and escape first. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date of December 28th, 2023. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that she has completed anger management, voices, tier 2, good intentions, bad choices, and beyond violence. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment warrant of the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. This is your opportunity to tell, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Okay, thank you for your time while allowing me the opportunity for this hearing. I'd like to start by expressing my deepest remorse for the victims of my crime, the business owners, their families, the employees, the residents of the community, the first responders, my family, as well as anyone else who felt unsafe due to my extreme nature and being irresponsible. Thinking back to my past, I don't recognize who I was, as I have become a different woman over the last 7 years. During my incarceration, I have successfully completed all OAP groups, obtained college credits through Quinnipiac and Trinity College. I have graduated from Defy Ventures, placing 4th in the business pitch competition, received my forklift certification, and gained experience having a variety of different jobs within the facility. I've learned the impacts of consequence trails, developed effective communication, and have practiced applying these skills throughout my incarceration. I am grateful for all the prison staff and mentors who have assisted in my growth. I am also thankful for my family and support system who have given me encouragement while also allowing me the space to learn accountability. When I'm home, I plan to be a positive asset in the community while obtaining employment and attending Naugatuck Valley Community College. My ultimate goal is to continuously strive to be better than who I was yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your statement, Ms. Martin. We have questions for you. When we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today.
Okay.
We'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Darby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Very well. So you talked about you've taken a number of programs, right, since you've been
Yes.
incarcerated. So there's one thing that stood out for me as far as, with substance abuse, right? And it looked like in the past you were using, you were drinking, smoking, and using perps. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So, a lot of times we look at, what type of programming that you would have for a relapse prevention program. And you didn't think that you needed one.
Yes, I have completed tier 2.
No, I understand the programming that you've taken, but when you are released, where do you think you might need any help with any substance abuse?
Oh, I could enroll in outpatient programs. If there's any.
Yeah, because what I'm getting at, it looked like in your interview that you didn't have a program in place and you didn't really have an issue. So I'm trying to understand that.
Well, just because I have tried pills in my past, but I've never used them like daily. That's why I didn't really consider them like a problem. And I also haven't done any drugs or drink in like 7+ years.
Okay. On to the underlying charge of the arson, right? I also read that this individual owed you some money. Didn't seem like to be a lot of money. And then this arson happened, right? And you talked about that you were young and stupid, right, at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so what was going on with the escape from the halfway house? I read what you stated, but can you speak about that?
Yes, so the halfway house, they did give me a pass to leave for the day to see the bank, and I had this new job. And then when they went to the address that my new job was supposed to be at, I wasn't there, so I thought I was out of place. And then they sent out the escape warrant and like one or before my time on the pass was up. And then I turned myself in immediately at the hospital in Bridgeport.
Yeah, because, you know, my concern was that you had a conviction back in 2016, right, for controlled substances. Is that accurate?
Was that in the New Jersey?
Yes.
Yes, that was my ex-boyfriend.
Okay, but you were convicted of that, right?
Yes.
2016. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, what's your game plan when you are released, and what other type of assistance do you think that you need to be successful in the community?
So I plan on enrolling back into college, and I can also definitely do any OAP classes or the outpatient programs, and I do want to have a job. And I could definitely do counseling or whatever that you think is good.
All right. So you want to continue your education, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's really important to me.
And as far as supporting the community, what type of support do you have in the community?
So my family is my biggest support system, and my family is the biggest support.
Yeah, so you want to sponsor to your parents' house, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
And you talked about spending time with your family and being a good member of society. How do you become a good member of society?
So I think just by like positively like living a normal life and having a job and just not hanging around like bad influences and just like living a wholesome life will be good.
Okay, and what's your age? How old are you now? 26?
Yes.
Okay. We bring that up because we had a former colleague that always would say, your brain's fully developed at 25. I don't always agree with that, but okay. Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, your offenses are very troubling, disturbing. I mean, you're really lucky that nobody was hurt, but I mean, to set fire to someone's business, someone unrelated, over $200. Can you help us understand what you were thinking at that time?
So I was just extremely irresponsible and reckless, and I was dating someone who was not a good influence. My friends were just terrible influences, the people I surrounded myself with, and I was just super naive, and I just did not understand how any consequences or my actions. I did not understand any of that as I do now.
Was this your plan?
I had part of a plan in it. It was
Okay,
kind of like
Go ahead.
it was me and my ex-boyfriends, like we just.
But how did your ex-boyfriend know about the whole situation? Did you explain everything to him?
Yes, he knew she owed me money.
What about the potato and the tailpipe?
That was kind of like his plan, and I didn't understand like what it would really do, but I think we thought it wouldn't be able to start the car.
So what kind of sentence did he get?
I'm honestly not really sure. Maybe the same. I think maybe 7.
And then you take all these programs and it appears as if you're really trying to change, but then you go to the halfway house and screw that up too.
Yes. Well, the halfway house they didn't really help me they didn't offer me any help really to re-enter. The person that helped me the most was my manager at this restaurant that I used to work at. They really offered me no emotional support, and I had no support system and in the halfway house, besides my family, but they also weren't having visits in the halfway house at that time because of COVID.
Well, it is part of your sentence. So part of being in a halfway house, a step down for you, is for you to go out and go to work and go to meetings and work on your re-entry. You understand that? And
yes.
you didn't last that long there either. But so you got a job, but then, you go out on a work pass, you didn't go to work. Right?
Yes.
And you got 2 misconduct reports for using alcohol while you're at the halfway house.
Yes, that was while I worked at the restaurant bar.
What does that mean? Did you think because you were working at a bar you could use alcohol while you're living in a halfway house under DOC jurisdiction? No,
I just made a mistake, so then they told me to keep going to the IOP.
Yeah, I mean, you made the decision to go work at a bar, right?
Yes, the restaurant.
Probably, well, anyway, you said it's because of where you were working. Probably a poor choice, right?
Yes.
I'm just not quite sure that you grasp some of the information that you obtained. You took a lot of programming and you got excellent evaluations for being in there. But to say that you were young and stupid at the time, but years later you're still making poor choices is concerning to me. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in a relationship now?
No.
Okay. It's probably wise that you focus on yourself. Okay, Ms. Turner.
So, Ms. Martin, you indicated that the halfway house staff were stealing from you? What were they taking?
They took money from me.
Was it money you had in your room or in your accounts?
No, they were taking cash tips that I would turn into them, and also they kept a $600 money order that they claim they don't have. And I don't have any receipts, so that's kind of just I can't really do anything about that.
So when you would turn in your tips at the end of a workday to the halfway house staff, that's not logged in somewhere where you're signing that you gave them $300 and they're acknowledging receipt of that?
No, they would just put in an envelope, write the amount on the outside of the envelope, and then the envelope would just be Eventually, my case manager just had all the money and they would take me to the post office to turn it into money orders. And I noticed that the cash amounts were short. And they didn't give me any receipts. So I didn't
It
have
was
proof.
written on the outside of the envelope and you open the envelope and it's less money. Did you talk to them about that?
No, I didn't open the envelopes. My case managers did.
So, how did your family feel about you being returned to prison after being in a halfway house?
They were extremely disappointed and, sad.
When you were working, at this restaurant / bar, did you know you were having a drink with alcohol in it?
Yes,
Okay, so how was it a mistake?
because I just had poor judgment.
It was a choice you made, not a
Yes,
mistake. And you knew the rules, you had signed the agreement for the halfway house.
yes.
Okay. I have no more questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dargan.
So, one hand, she's, taken a lot of programming. On the other hand, she's got the, the census, which is.
Sorry, do you have questions for her?
No, I started.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah.
So give us a chance, I'm sorry, give us a chance, let me tell her. Chance to talk about your case, for a few minutes. We're gonna deliberate and we'll give you our decision shortly, okay?
Okay.
So again, I mean, she's taken a number of programs.
Yeah.
Her end of sentence is in June. She has a number of years of special parole.
I don't think she has that long.
Yeah, June 15th.
Yeah.
I have May. May third, what do you got?
Yeah, well,
I can check right now.
pretty
So,
much 4 months.
yeah, it might be April.
Yeah. She's got a number of years of supervision to follow for special parole.
Yeah.
She was released, she was in, the works program, but was released because when she was released to the halfway house. And then the other, program too, she was released from. I don't have her released early. I have her going to end the sentence. I think through the questioning that was put forth by all three of us that she still needs some additional assistance, and hopefully through that supervision of special parole could be of assistance to her in the future. I know she was young. She still is very young. And that's kind of what my thought process is. I mean, arson, less than $300. And then the escape from the halfway house is concerned.
Yeah.
EOS is in May 13th.
May 13th, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I would agree. What did you say, arson less than $300?
Say what?
Arson less than $300, is that what it is? I thought you said arson less than $300.
Arson as a result of being owed
Yeah,
$300.
Arson.
Not,
Yeah.
Over 200.
I know. I mean, you burned down
$223.
I mean,
you burned down a couple of buildings, and then with the potato in the car,
yeah, I would agree with you, Mr. Dargan. These offenses are very concerning, and I mean, she took all the programs, so it's unfortunate. We don't often see someone take this kind of programming and not exhibit some change, but yeah, after being released to the halfway house and the continued poor choices there, I would have difficulty in granting discretionary parole, but thankfully there are 8 years of special parole coming up very soon. So, Ms. Turner?
I agree completely. I mean, she was afforded that opportunity by DOC, and with everything that had been afforded to her by way of programming, she blew her chance. And
Yeah.
so there's no rewarding that. And we are, thankfully in a position with someone committing crimes of this serious in nature who have special parole to follow. So she's set up well.
Yeah. All right, so nature and circumstance and poor performance and community release?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Special parole, I had no alcohol.
Yeah,
Mental health development treatment,
yeah,
Yes.
no contact with co-defendant, not Roderick Jello.
yeah,
I was,
and then the victims. Yeah,
and, yeah,
okay.
anything else?
And I don't know if the daughter of the victim who would
I have
owe the money, okay.
Yep.
And a stay away from MT
Yeah.
and masonry.
You're all
Okay,
victims. Yeah.
terrific.
All right, in the matter of Willow Martin, inmate number 415870, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstance of your offenses and your poor performance while you were on community release. You have 8 years of special parole. I'll further set the following special parole conditions: you to have no consumption of alcoholic beverages, no contact with your co-defendant, Matthew Gargillo, a mental health evaluation and treatment if they deem it necessary, and no contact with your victims, initials MS, or is it SJ? I don't know. BC or MTM masonry. Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You'll get all this in writing, but do you understand?
Okay,
All right, we wish you the best.
thank you.
This concludes the hearing for Willow Martin, inmate number 415870.
May I step up real quick?
Okay, so let's unpack that. Yeah, it was certainly, it's I guess a different kind of crime, arson. Now it's not as like she sexually assaulted a child, or otherwise she probably would have gotten just 3 or 5 years. But nonetheless, it is quite disturbing. But at the same time, I wonder if she really didn't, it's hard to light a building on fire, but still, the way that she was just talking about it, even now, it kind of just felt like she was just like a just like a little girl, like, oops, I didn't, oopsies. And then you find out that she gets her job and she's really, it seems again, like not taking it. It's just like this level of immaturity, which is so, I guess, palpable or apparent, but we'll go over the details of the crime and we can, unpack it and make our own opinion. One thing that caught me here is if you look close, see through the door, it's all kid stuff, kid toys, books. So this must be the part of the prison where moms can have visitation with their kids, and that's so sad. But let's go over this. Thank you, Richard, for providing the information. I don't know why. And of course, the title of the article is woman sentenced to 8 years for arson. This is written in 2018. Waterbury, a former stripper from Nantucket, was sentenced to 8 years in prison on Thursday for lighting a fire that consumed 2 businesses in Prospect of 2015. By the way, when she says that her tips were stolen while working at the bar, I do believe her there. That's easy to believe, right? Why would someone not take cash tips? That's something I actually believe her that is very possible. Willow Martin, a soft-spoken, dirty blonde who is 19 when police say she helped set fire to a building on Route 69, appeared in Waterbury Superior Court during a brief hearing where she said little. As part of the plea deal, prosecutors, Martin, 21, pleaded guilty to second-degree arson in connection with the fire, which consumed MTM masonry at the Golden Walk Chinese restaurant at 14 Waterbury Road. Damages to the building totaled more than $450,000. Martin, a former stripper at a club in Southern, set to fire the MTM masonry and chimney out of revenge because the business was owned by the stepfather of another dancer who owed her about $1,200. So here they said a couple $100, but the stepfather of a dancer. Like, come on, you don't think that stepfather's going through enough? Now you gotta light his. I just hope he had really good insurance, because when you have really good insurance, something like this ain't too bad. But if you don't, it can destroy you. Martin helped set the fire with her boyfriend Matthew, 28, whose charges were still pending. The restaurant owners suffered heavy losses, including the destruction of their equipment and the near draining of their savings. It has since reopened in Prospect. Martin was hit with a list of 9 charges that included burglary and criminal mischief. She made bond and skipped court. She skipped court. She's a real treat. And was eventually tracked down to New Jersey, where she was arrested again. With the exception of arson, the other charges are no longer being pursued as part of the deal. Martin, wearing a baggy gray sweatshirt, appeared in Waterbury Superior Court on Thursday, along with her attorney, Andrew Cates. Prosecutor Martin's lack of criminal record factored into the crafting of the plea deal. The building owners were satisfied with the outcome, he said. You know, it is hard to light anything on fire. It really is. It makes me wonder how they were so good at it. The thing is, at 19, I could see a 19-year-old girl being edged on by her boyfriend, like, yeah, let's go. And they, throw, but it, you do dumb things when you're young. I think that she's very unlucky that it somehow was a successful fire, and then very lucky no one was killed. This is a big sentence for a young girl, Kate said. She will not be back here again. Although she failed miserably when being on the work release, which is very concerning. Martin had little to say during the brief hearing, which was attended by her family, including her father, who told her that he forgave her for everything she did and loved her. Why would her father forgive her? He's like, okay, I love him too, she said. As Martin is released, she'll have to serve 8 years of special parole, which is an intensive form of supervision. Here they go into, okay, here's another article Richard had found. So potato plays key role in her arrest. Isn't that some kind of headline? A dispute between 2 women who worked at a strip club escalated over money and ended up in arson. This is her perp shot. Willow, 19, and Brana Khan both were best friends who happened to work at the same strip club. Isn't that sad? What can happen to best friends? Things deteriorated quickly. One day while on vacation in New Jersey, Martin loaned her $1,200 for clothes, and then she never paid her back. The set of series of criminal acts that led Martin allegedly set fire to her stepfather's business in Prospect. And that's a lot of money, $1,200 at 19, and you're gonna go get clothes. Like, what are you buying? In September of 2015, according to the affidavit released by the Connecticut State Police, after the fire, Martin drove to her mother's house and for months threw small pieces of trash on their lawn that may have also been responsible for smashed pumpkins there. Connecticut State Police said it was the DNA on a potato stuffed in a tailpipe of a van belonging to Constantino's stepfather, who owned MTM Masonry Inc., that really cracked the case that led Martin's arrest and her former boyfriend. Can you imagine? I was caught from the potato. Well, and give them credit. They actually went and did DNA on a potato. It's so hard to get people to do anything, but maybe the fire investigators invest a little more time in these things. It also is a lot of money, damages. But they did DNA on the potato. So I Googled what happens if the potato actually blocks the full pipe, the car just won't start, or it will stall out because it blocks oxygen. So it's not necessarily like won't blow up the car or do something like that. It's just your car won't start. So it's a huge headache. And I'm sure it could be dangerous if the car does start driving somewhere and then like the potato becomes more lodged in, and then now you're stuck in the middle of the road. So her boyfriend, who's a real prince, is a known heroin dealer, right? According to the arrest warrant affidavit, 28, she's 19, so he's really a great influence on her, of course. This all may seem something like taken from a plot of a movie, but Connecticut State Police say all of the above is true in a multi-page arrest warrant. The arson fire, state police on September 15, 2015 at 5 a.m. Received a complaint of commercial structure fire at 14 Waterbury and Prospect. Firefighters extinguished the fire that damaged the businesses, and the building had to be taken down. No one was injured during the fire. Cargello, who was with Martin at the time of the blaze, told investigators that Martin went to the business with a can of gas and poured it all over the place. The affidavit states Martin was angry that she never paid her back. The force of the fire caused Martin to pass out briefly as Cargello waited outside the business. Wow. So she actually lit it and then passed out. He said Martin got blown out of the back door of the business after it went up in flames, and it eerily resembled what happens in Hollywood movies, the affidavit states. I mean, she was in way over her head, 19 years old. Like, let's go light it on fire. They pour gasoline. She lights a match, and she gets blown out of the building. I mean, after the fire, she and her lovely boyfriend drove back to the house where they gave a high five. Yeah, they told investigators according to the affidavit. The falling out. So Martin and Constantina were best friends. Martin loaned her $1,200 to buy clothes when they were in New Jersey, according to the affidavit. Constantino told investigators that she didn't pay Martin back. I think clothes might be a code word for something else. Soon, both girls couldn't work the same shift at the strip club anymore because the animosity was so strong. Constantino told police that Martin had allegedly set fire to her mother's house earlier when she was mad at her, the affidavit states. Fire officials determined that the fire at her mother's house was an electrical fire. Wow, so she had a thing for arson. After the Prospect arson fire, Martin allegedly was driving past Constantino's mother's house and dropping pieces of small trash on the lawn. On one occasion, the mother spotted Martin and told her to stop, and Martin replied, "I put the trash where it belongs," according to the affidavit. Martin also allegedly told people, "I'll burn their explicit down," when she was mad at them. Cargillo told authorities that Martin was crazy and had set her parents' house on fire before. The affidavit states that she was stressed to investigators that while he was with Martin during the fire, he remained outside and was not involved. Man, pretty intense, right? And here we'll do the final one, and this one's written quite a funny way. Crop top wearing teen felon foiled by potato. That is so true. I mean, this entire thing is drawn out like a comedic movie. A teenage exotic dancer from Connecticut was arrested for arson on Tuesday when a crop top in her mugshot wore it. It looked more like a summer beach outfit, they say. So they say here, they contend here that although she says that she lent her friend $1,200 to buy clothes, they actually say that she gave her only $300 to $400. So there's some discrepancy on the total amount of money. Then how they were caught is that when she put the potato in the stepdad's Honda Civic, I don't know why they keep going after her stepdad. Go after, I mean, maybe it was her Honda Civic, but the stepdad was under the stepdad's name, right? But this poor stepdad, man. His stripper daughter is as these crazy fiends burning down his restaurants and stuffing potatoes in his car as if he doesn't have enough on his plate. And he gave the potato to the police, and they did a DNA test on it, and it came back to the boyfriend, and who's now the ex-boyfriend. And the ex-boyfriend right away said, "Oh, I gave it to her, and she did it." And then when they when they went to indict them on this stuff, they were both in prison already, and they were in prison because they gave the George Washington Bridge toll. They gave them a $10, a fake counterfeit $10 bill. I mean, who gives a counterfeit dollar bill to a toll plaza? Are you guys kidding me? These are not the smartest. These are not the smartest fish in the pond, to say the least. When they went inside the car, after that arrest for the counterfeit, they retrieved a small bag for the pocketbook and tossed it on the back seat. Port Authority, while adding 10 glassines envelopes suspected of heroin and drug paraphernalia were contained in the bag. Inside the door were the 5 counterfeit $10 bills, a large knife, and recovered for release states, cigarette pack with burnt marijuana cigars. I mean, who risks using a counterfeit $10 bill at a plaza where there are cops everywhere? Like the return risk on reward is zero. Your car is full of contraband. You're going to go away for a long time. You're going to lose all of your potential profit in selling stuff just for $10. Like the decisions that these people make are just laughable, really. I mean, just to sum it all up again, she lends her best friend from, her best friend, fellow exotic dancer, money, $400 or $1,200, either way, too much to buy clothes. She doesn't get paid back. They're fighting, so much to the point they can't even work the same shift together. Now she has this brilliant idea to light her stepfather's store on fire, because that makes sense. So she lights it on fire. She gets blown out of the door because everything goes far away, but then she runs and then high fives her. Yeah, we did it. Then it's not enough because, they never got the money. So let's go put a potato in the car. So they go and they put a potato in the thing, and this poor stepfather is like, oh, I just want to work and live, and my stripper daughter is getting my thing burnt down, and now I got a potato in my car. And he hands it to the police to do a DNA test, get it. They're already locked up, these two fools, because they tried to pass a $10 bill at the toll plaza, and now you get this 8-year sentence where she gets another chance, gets to go out. For some reason, they put her behind the bar, and she quickly gets drunk, and it's just, you can't make it up. It's kind of funny. If it wasn't so sad, I do hope that she can get her life straight. But thank you, Richard, for providing the info. And with that, I'll let you go.
Okay. That's it. All set. And yeah, feel good. All I've been doing is writing what time we go in and out.
Good afternoon, Parole Officer Trisella. Today is Friday, January 26, 2024. This is a currently Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this afternoon and stating their names on the record, certified they have reviewed all statutory required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good afternoon, panel member Duggan.
Good afternoon, Joy Chance.
Deborah Smith, Palmieri. Please state your name and any number for the record.
Roderick Rooney, 437-463.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Roderick Rooney, inmate number 437-463. He is serving a sentence of 10 years jail, 5 years to serve, followed by 10 years of probation for illegal sexual contact. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of January 29, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the Tier 2 program, voices, and is currently participating in the short track sex offender program with an expected completion date of May 1st, 2024. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism, and utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low to moderate range. Mr. Rooney, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, I remember when I first got locked up, I was mad at everybody, and I wanted to blame everybody else but myself. But once I got sentenced, I began to think, and I felt that, because in the beginning I couldn't remember exactly what happened, being the fact that I was drunk at the time. So I just believed that everything was made up and it wasn't true. But after a while, I started to think to myself that why would she make this up? Why would my cousin make something up that's this drastic? And I began to think about, I put myself in this situation in the first place when I began to drink too much anyway. And I knew that I don't see why she would lie on me. She's never lied on me before, so I didn't see any reason why my little cousin would lie on me about something this serious. And once I started thinking that way, I just felt like I felt remorse, because at the same time, she's still young. And I felt like I was supposed to be the person to be there for her and show her positivity in life. And instead, I scarred her for life at a young age. And I feel bad about it, and I'm ashamed about it at the same time. And I don't know how I could be able to show my apology, because I can't even speak to them. I know my family wouldn't really want to speak to me anymore. So I just want to do anything I can to try to better myself. So that's why I'm interested in doing any programs that I need to do. I want to be able to speak to some therapists to understand how and why this even happened. And I just never want to make a bad choice like this again.
Right there, Mr. Rooney. What we're going to do now is we have some questions that we have prepared that we would like to ask you, and then after those questions, we'll discuss your case and give you what our decision is, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague,
Thank you, Mr.
Panel Member Smith Palmieri.
So, Mr. Rooney, nice job on your opening statement.
Thank you.
I appreciate hearing, how your thoughts have changed since the time of your arrest to where you are today.
Mhm.
I wanted for a quick clarification. So you were arrested in New York and you have a conditional discharge on that offense?
Are you talking about the year before?
Yeah.
Or not regarding this case?
Right. So you have a conviction out of New York.
Yes.
And it's a charge of acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17. You have a conditional discharge and there's a protective order. That's the same victim, correct?
No, that's a different case where about probably like 2 years before, I was.
That's the scratch of a child?
Yeah, because I was high and I was on PCP. And when I was walking into my building, they were walking out, but I was kind of hallucinating at the time. And I scratched. I had an arm and I scratched her, and I just kept going to my apartment. And yeah,
that's good. Really, the focus is what the charges are here for today. But you did get arrested in New York initially, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this offense occurred some in New York and some in Connecticut.
Yes. Yeah.
My point is, I want to get to that. It's more than once, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for working through that. I think it's important to be forthright, right? Okay. So I heard what you said. That you feel bad for the victim, you can't believe you did it, and and that you were high on PCP at the time or alcohol?
No, that was alcohol. It was New Year's and I was drinking that night.
Okay, so you were intoxicated.
Yes.
All right. Okay. And would you say that the fact that this has happened more than once, were you under the influence the other times as well?
No, but when I was in New York, it was like we'd be like horse playing, play fighting, and there was times where I broke through while we were playing and things like that, but it was never to the measure of me actually going as far as I did on the night of New Year's.
Okay. Were you, well, you sexually assaulted the victim. You didn't
Yes.
touch
Yeah.
her. Okay. So you are 31 years old.
Yes.
And this is, other than that New York incident, this is your only arrest and sentence, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I have to say that you've done a lot of good programming.
Thank you.
You've done more programs that looks like that maybe were even on your OAP. Did you have to advocate for yourself to get into some of those?
The Voices was a program that I really had to that I had to try the work to get into. I would have gotten into the sex treatment program faster, but I had to wait for the class to start.
Okay.
And I had to wait to get transferred to the facility I am now that actually has that program.
Okay. So now you're at Brooklyn and that it has a program. Where were you before?
I was at Cheshire. And while I was at Cheshire, somebody came to speak with me also regarding doing groups outside of once I get released too, and I told them that I have no problem doing that as well.
Yeah, and we'll kind of talk to that because that program while you're on community supervision, so you have 10 years of probation, that is an extenuation of what you've done in the facility and a lot more intense. Longer and much more intense. So let's start with the TIER program. Since you finished that program back in October, have you done a drug treatment program before?
Yes, a stipulation from when I got the last case in New York, the first case, when I bonded out, I went into inpatient treatment, and throughout the whole time I was fighting that case, I was inpatient for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Upon getting a verdict in that case, the judge told me if I finished inpatient and also do another year outpatient, then that would be enough.
Okay.
So once I finished inpatient, I did another year in outpatient.
Wow, that's pretty good. Very nice.
Thank
And
you.
you were successful in completing both programs.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So this Tier 2 program must have been a little bit of a refresher then.
Yes.
All right. So knowing what you now know about substance abuse and yourself, tell me what are some of your risk factors in terms of relapse?
It's definitely people, places, and things. Like that's why I know whenever I do get released from Connecticut Correctional, I plan to stay out here and rebuild out here. I don't want to go back to my old neighborhood where there's a lot of triggers for me, my old friends or people that I used to get high with and things like that. Although I haven't done like PCP and cocaine, which are my main drug choices, I still don't want any other type of people around, any other type of things that could trigger me to go backwards. I'm 31. I need to move forward in life now.
Yes, I would agree with that. So, yeah, be 31 and still using PCP and crack is a recipe to spend the rest of your life in and out of prison.
Exactly.
So, what will you do in terms of maintaining your sobriety in the community? Have you given that some thought?
Yeah, my plan, I definitely am interested in still going to NA. I wouldn't mind going to NA. I want to surround myself with other people that are like-minded that are also trying to do better for themselves. I want to focus more on getting my CDL and also while I'm going to CDL classes, I'd also plan on doing a part-time job, something to keep me just keep me busy. I also want to go to the gym. I want to find a church out here too, because if I'm gonna stay out here, I need to find something that I could go to every Sunday, because I won't be able to go back to New York. But just proper planning so I won't fall back into having an idle time and then leave me to go back down the wrong path.
So you need to find I'm going to summarize that, a good sober community with some structured activities.
Yes.
Okay. So let's now talk about the Voices program. You said you had to ask for that program?
Yeah, once I got to Brooklyn, I told them how I would like to get into the Voices program as soon as possible, and I was able to get into it within about 2 months of me transferring here.
What did you know about the Voices program?
At the time, I didn't know anything really about it. I knew it was a program where it focuses on the victims. But once I got into it, I got a better understanding that it breaks down different crimes, and it also breaks down the fact that multiple people are victims in crimes, and sometimes it's more than people would even think. But there's multiple victims in crimes.
And your victim specifically,
Yes.
what would you say the impact of your victim specifically is? How did you process that?
I know that the sexual assault of my cousin is going to be something that she has to live with for the rest of her life. And I pray that she's able to fight through it and live beyond it. But I do know that it's going to be a deterrent, because she may never look at a man the same, or never look at someone close to her and be able to trust again. And like I said, it hurts me that I was the one that done that to her, especially because deep down I love my family, I love her. It's not, it just hurts. But I know that this is something that can affect her for the rest of her life.
It's definitely an emotional impact on your family.
Yes.
Right? Knowing that they let you, you were invited into the home and this is the outcome. That's in reading the documents associated with the case, that seems to be a big struggle for the victim's mother.
Yes.
Did you process that at all or think about that? That violation of trust?
Honestly, I think about it with the whole family, because for her, I know she could never look at me again and trust me again. But also, she might never trust anyone again, because that's her daughter too. And we were all close. And for someone so close to do something like that, I know that breaks trust down, and it makes a person build walls up. And like I said, when it comes to the family in general, they all feel the same way, because we're all family, and no one expects that to come from a part of the family.
Yeah,
So
somebody from within, somebody you trust,
Yeah.
hard enough to trust in general.
Anyone, yes.
So you just started with the sex offender treatment program. How many weeks have you been in it?
It's been, I think, 6, and she said that we should be done by the first week of April.
So what is the first thing that you've learned from that program? What has jumped out at you as soon as you started it?
Well, just that the first thing that came to my mind was that I'm not alone. Because I felt like when you commit a sex offense, you just feel like it's just you, and the world's against you. So when I went to group the first day, and there was others there that we don't know what each other have done, but it's just that it's easy to try to fight through it and try to become a better person when you know that you're not alone in such a negative situation. But also, it just brought my awareness to different types of sex crimes too. Like when you child porn or persuasion or when you grooming and things like that. And it made me kind of look at myself also, because when I was looking at the definition of grooming and things like that, I could see like I said, when I was back in New York and when I would play around and stuff like that, that's a form of grooming. You know what I mean? Because she didn't know exactly what I was doing.
And have you talked at all about cognitive distortions?
Honestly, I don't think we've spoken about that yet.
So kind of how you're thinking you're thinking of a situation where you start to justify it in your own mind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, just like I said, like in the like where you try to dumb down what you did, or you try to make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal, or they was okay with it and things like that. Yeah, that's how I felt in the beginning. Like when I first got locked up, I went to blame everybody else, like it was their fault that I was the one that committed the crime, instead of me thinking I was the one that the steps that I was taking brought me to where I am today. It was no one else's fault but mine.
And I know you still have some time in the program, so you probably haven't gotten to the point where you, well, let me back up a little bit. So have you identified what would be triggers for you in terms of your behaviors in the community, things you need to watch out for?
Well, in terms for my crime, it's just me personally, I think it would be my well, staying away from drug use. First of all, that'll be one of the main things, staying away from drug use, and just being around, like not even being around. I'm not even going to be around. I have no reason to be around anybody younger anymore. I'm done with the family situation, so that has no reason for me to be around them. And I feel like right now I just stay around people, like I said, stay around goal-minded people that are trying to do something positive for themselves, and that'll rub off on me as well. Because I'm already a positive person. I made a bad decision. So if I just focus on being around more people that are doing more positive, more productive things, when the time comes, like let's say in the future, 5 years from now, if I do meet a woman and I do plan on having a child, I'll have time under my belt where I know that I won't return back to that. And that's why I also want to speak to a therapist also, because I want to know what, like, the root of everything. Because there's a root of everything that happens. There's something deep down that causes that. So I would like to further understand that as well.
Yeah, so you want to dig a little deeper. You know, and it also, I appreciate that you would recognize how your drug use interferes with this and the rest of your life. And that, you know, you're not going to be able to have contact with minors. That's going to be an issue. And things that I write it down. Drug use, you know, minors. And then I think moving forward, you know, you're going to be on the sex offender registry for a period of time. So you're going to have to be conscious of where you're living, keeping the registry informed of where you are. Have you thought about what some of the ramifications of that could be for you?
Now, when you say ramifications, you mean like how it'd be difficult for me to live that way?
A little bit, yeah. Difficulty, how it might affect you in terms of fitting in the community. You know, there is a stigma attached to being on the registry, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I know it's going to be difficult. I know it won't be the easiest thing for me to do. But my first goal would be to find a stable job, and then try to, like I said, I want to find a part-time job, then CDL, and then while I'm in the halfway house and I'm saving money, I can try to figure out neighborhoods that would accept me, because it's probably going to be hard to find a place to rent as well. So I'd have to do research and try to get into with certain programs. I have a Crossroads reentry where they also help you find housing and things like that. Once you're on the outside, they help you. They help refer you to places that would be able to help me. Okay. But I know it won't be easy. But I pray on it, and I just hope that God always makes a way. So I just have to stay positive and just keep pushing.
Yeah, and I think that goes with, well, I'll go back to, you know, finding that sober community, which can include church.
Yes.
So your release plan, you don't have a lot of support here in Connecticut, and your father's in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Do you have much contact with him?
Yeah, I talk to my father, yeah. I talk to him all the time.
Okay. Going back through the documents, it seemed like, you know, he was trying to be as supportive as he could throughout this process. Do you see things that way?
I definitely do. He's definitely been there. He's been in my corner the most. Him and my aunt, they've been in my corner the most.
Good. And is your aunt in New York?
Yes, my aunt's in New York.
So you don't really have any support in Connecticut?
No.
but you want to make a go of it here.
Yeah, I'm looking at that as also a good thing too, because I don't really know anyone out here, so it gives me the opportunity to have a fresh start.
And I see you have some goals set for yourself. You're sort of a little bit all over the place. CDL, culinary school, mechanic. Have you given some more thought to how you might pursue any of those goals, or what kind of employment you think you'd be looking for?
Yeah, my primary, I want to get my CDL because I want to get my CDL and be able to drive at least within either the tri-state area or the New England area. And but while I'm waiting to get my CDL, I want to get any type of part-time job, whether it's a warehouse or something that could just keep put money in my bank account until I can get my CDL. Because I already have my driver's license.
Okay.
But those are my primary goals. I plan on doing it while I'm in the halfway house because I know they can help you get your CDL. And while I'm in there, I can save at the same time.
And the halfway house is a great place in terms of they have a lot of resources that they can help you access, right? But it's also going to be up to you to advocate for yourself and look for things that fit within your conditions of supervision.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you can go, what you can do, and find appropriate employment. You had a nice letter of support from your reverend.
Yes.
That someone you've been in contact with over the years.
Yes. He's actually came to visit me a couple of times as well.
Oh, good. Is that a good thing?
That's a great thing. He's the only person that's actually visited me. So it felt good to have somebody on the outside still there to support me. And he also lives in Connecticut as well. So that's another good thing. Even though he's a reverend at a church in New York, he lives out here in Connecticut. So that's another good thing.
Good.
So I'll still have him in my corner once whenever I get released.
Yeah, you do need some support. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rooney, that we should have talked about that we didn't?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I do not have any other questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, just one follow-up. It seems like, one of your major issues was the dust, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that stuff's bad stuff, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It doesn't justify your actions, but it's bad stuff. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, panel member Chance.
I have no question.
Okay, so.
Mr. Smith, Palmieri asked him 3 of the questions. Yeah.
We're all looking for the same information.
So give us a few moments, Mr. Rooney. We're going to discuss your case and then we'll get back to you with our decision.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And I even know, just for the record, the
state's attorneys. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we got a letter from the state's attorneys. They'll send it in.
Objecting.
Yeah, they send a letter about early release against that. So I just want the record to reflect that. Thank you for bringing that up because we almost forgot.
Yeah.
At least I did.
Right. All the information should be on the table.
Right.
Right. So, Mr. Rooney, this is almost his only conviction. The one out of New York does not. He got a conditional discharge. So I think we could go out on a limb and say it is of a minor nature. He's 31 years old. I thought he did a really nice job and a thoughtful job answering the questions. He did the Voices program. He seems to have gotten a lot out of that. Was able to identify, how his crime affects the victim. I think as we've all determined, his substance abuse issue is a problem. However, he's done quite a bit to address it, including prior to being sentenced with the attending treatment programs. He didn't bring it up, but he does have 2 disciplinary reports.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was worth mentioning because it was Pruno, but because he acknowledged his problem, with the alcohol
Mhm.
and, the PCP. I didn't,
Yeah.
reference it
It's
because,
close to a year ago.
Yeah,
It's about
yeah.
9 months ago, and then he's got the one housing prior to that, but that is about almost 2 years ago too.
right, and he explained why, because I read the explanation about, people are gonna know where.
Yeah.
And that's understanding, but he did complete, he's currently in the program, so.
Yes, and he's doing well, because he's done a number of Bible study programs. He's on the wait list for a job. He's in the sex offender treatment program, but looks like maybe halfway through it. He seems to really see why he's in the program, getting a lot from the program so far. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have much support in the community, but it seems like that's some bridges that he's burned. His father's in Massachusetts. It's clear from the file that his father is supportive. He's certainly quite capable of doing any of the goals that he set for himself. He has 10 years of probation. He understands what it means to be on the sex offender registry. There's a protective order in place. And he does have support with the pastor that wrote him the letter. He says that lives here in Connecticut. So I would be willing to grant discretionary parole today for Mr. Rooney. I think he's done some good work. I would be willing to grant it upon completion of the sex offender treatment.
So that's the one note that I have, because his
Yes.
earliest release, I think, is 2 days from now, something like,
Right.
so the end of,
He
the
would
end
be
of
a contingent on completion of the SO
the
program,
program was January, February, March, April, May, was like
May 1st.
Yeah, May
Right.
1st, was the end. That was the only question that I had, because with the earliest, to keep them there until he.
Absolutely.
So we're all in agreement with that.
Yeah,
So let's do this next then. He's got 10 years of probation. So see if you guys agree with me. Let's start with problem sexual behavior treatment. We're okay with that?
yeah,
What about no contact with minors?
yes,
Okay, I put this down, but then I wasn't sure. I put a halfway house. Did I have that?
yes, you have to,
Okay.
that's, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just going along here, and
Sorry,
I have, let's see, I have a victim,
KR,
KR. This was another one that I had a note with the SOR, the registry. It didn't seem to be clear the amount of period of time, but.
But that's up to he knows he's got to register.
Right,
and they'll
so,
let him know.
okay.
and when he goes, they'll tell him. I
Okay.
don't know why the judge did.
And then contingent upon completion.
Yeah,
So we're good, right?
yeah,
So let me start reading it, and if I get it wrong, yell at me. So in the case of Roderick R Rooney, inmate number 437463, there's a motion to grant parole contingent upon completion of the program that he's presently in.
Effective 1/29/24. Contingent upon.
Yeah, effective 1/29/24,
Yeah.
contingent upon completion of the program that he's in. That's the program.
Yeah.
With the following conditions. Problem sexual behavior treatment. No contact with minors. Halfway house. And no contact with victim KR. Did I miss anything or
No.
anything else?
Good job.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
second,
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, sir, so, we granted you parole, but we want you to finish that program, all
No
right?
problem, no
January,
problem.
February, March, April, May, so
yeah,
good luck. You'll be getting all this in the next couple of weeks.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody have a good one.
You too.
I don't even know what I just saw. These hearings are just so bizarre, in my opinion. I mean, he has. My understanding is that it's sexual assault of his own cousin who's underage, full on, right? He has another charge where he hurt a child, an innocent child. And he's like, well, I was on PCP. Yeah, you do that when you're on PCP. But it's like, just to think of what that causes to that child, like it changes just to be attacked by a man in a hallway when you're minding your own business. And again, just a 5-year maximum potential sentence where he gets let out after like 3 because he started a few programs. And it's just crazy. The stuff here in Connecticut, I think we've covered the sexual assault cases now, like 8 or 9 of them that I've recorded, and they're all 5-year sentences. Max. I mean, he gets out like 3 years early, and it's the strangest thing. I don't get it. Now, there's nothing I can really share, screen share. It's just like notes on the case, like a police report. I mean, who would think that you can get that type of charge and just be out a few years later and it's like, oh, you're doing great. That's great. I mean, PCP, randomly attacking children and sexually assaulting his cousin. And they don't really ask good questions, in my opinion. They kind of like finish sentences for him and like, oh, so you did it because of this? Are you feeling because of that? Or are you feeling, it's like, stop putting words in his mouth. Let him finish what he's going to say. Let him say what he's going to say. Are you so desperate to have it so that the programs are so great that you have to finish his sentences? Oh, man. He has a moderate SRT and a moderate static 9.9, which is shocking. Normally they have low risk score, right? But I don't really have anything else to add to it. Like you might say he was a good interview. He spoke well. It does seem that in Connecticut versus Louisiana, there's like a better education system. You can kind of see that through the way people articulate and communicate. Maybe it's the lack of the drawling Louisiana accent, but I don't think so. I do think that there's quite a difference. Although we have seen our fair share of complete ridiculousness, but still, it's a bit different. It's interesting to see. Also, we're not saying it's not always just Connecticut, because it's like you have these tri-states. You're getting people who grew up in New Jersey, grew up in New York, so it really is. It's different. I enjoy seeing the different aspects of it, but it's going to take a while to keep learning how these hearings function and what to expect. So with that, we'll move forward, or I'll let you go.